One look at his work, and it is no surprise Adam Scott wrote one of my favorite artists. I love the pop culture. Good day, Tampa Bay. I'm Charlie Belcher, coming to you from St. Petersburg this morning. Luis Sottil Studios, art gallery that celebrates the art of many very highly collectible artists. One of them happens to be that gentleman right there. Adam Scott wrote. Good day to you, sir.
Good morning.
Now, you've got a special show that we're going to really get into later in the morning about Hollywood and actually using the Hollywood sign in your artwork. But let's talk about your style, Adam, and how it kind of evolved and came to be. How do you describe your style?
Kind of like it's a realism. It's a form of realism that I taught when I was in school, and it was one of those things you always strove for, was to paint in a realistic manner.
Yeah. And it certainly is. I mean, I had to do a double take and go, is that a photo? What? No, that's Adam at work. Now let's look at these are some of your earlier works over here, and how do you describe these, Adam? And tell me about them.
So these are called American Ruins. This is actually what launched my career in the galleries. That actually what I call gave me a name. Is when because I've been working with airbrush and pinup and different things on the structures, and I would be compared to Vargas or Olivia de Berardinis or other artists. But it was the American Ruins, and it was the combination of my love of classic architecture, but I never liked things perfect. So when I came across these abandoned places, and I imagined what it would have been like in its heyday, and I kind of started marrying the two, it hit a note. It was like all of a sudden everybody just loved them.
So you mentioned airbrush. Are they completely airbrushed? Do you use brushes, pencils, and
everything in the kitchen sink? Because you always start out with doing your backgrounds. You might run your colors. So the airbrush has a tendency to create that very fine, lifelike look to it. But over the years, I've always been improving my technique of how I paint. Now a lot of it is brushwork that's brought in. I'm looser on some of the pieces, whereas I used to be so tight.
Right.
Now I find myself actually, once you've gotten the mastery of the driving down, I'm really having fun with it now.
It's, you know what? I think that's one reason why I love it. So when you look at Harley Quinn over here, it's fun. I like fun. Art doesn't have to be stuffy or you're a well-known, well-collected, highly sought-after artist, but it's fun, right?
There's things to do in pop culture. Especially if you look at what we've accomplished in America. We created film. The original Hollywood sign went up on the hill in 1923.
Well, there you go. Stop that sentence right there, because that's the perfect teaser for the next segment. We're going to talk about that Hollywood sign, because he got his hands on some of it, and he's taking metal from that original Hollywood sign in California, and he's literally putting it in his artwork. We'll talk about that in the next segment.
And that Stevie Nicks one behind you, that is my absolute favorite so far.
Isn't that good?
So cool.
Yeah.
Big time.
He loves the Stevie Nicks. Oh, you should see the prints he did. Oh my goodness.
That's so great. All right.
It's amazing.
We'll see you later this hour, honey.
All right.
All right, stay with us. Coming up next, delayed